Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Monday, April the 26th. We got a big Monday slate to talk about. We got 11 games to break down. I'm going to try and go as quick as I can. As always, guys, whenever we have these big slates, I try and run through the games, as briefly and as quickly as possible. So we'll go through each game, talk about each team on this 11-game slate like we always do. But before we do get started with the breakdown, guys, as always, I would appreciate it if you would click that like button down below and be sure to click the subscribe button as well. Also, hit the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. Should be back Monday afternoon for a live stream around normal time, probably 4:30 Eastern. So if you guys are free Monday afternoon, you want to tune into the live stream, I will be live on my YouTube channel, breaking down the slate with you guys, answering all your questions, talking through everything once again. But yeah, guys, appreciate you watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's slate. So we'll start off with the Spurs and Wizards game. Looking on the San Antonio side, the Spurs, they're not a team I've really rostered much lately. I haven't really been playing many Spurs lately outside of that one day when DeRozan and Murray were out. Obviously, I played Spurs then, but when this team is fully healthy, I normally don't go to run to roster these guys, but in a matchup against the Wizards, Dejounte Murray, DeMar DeRozan, I think these guys do look somewhat appealing today. Now, are they priorities for me? Are they guys I'm really starting my lineup with? Probably not, but I think they are definitely in play, and they are guys I would have in my player pool. 8,700 kind of feels pricey for DeRozan, but the matchup here is fantastic. He definitely has upside in a really good spot against the Wizards. Dejounte Murray, though, is probably my favorite Spur today. 7,100. He does feel, a little bit underpriced for this matchup. Murray hasn't really been that good lately, but this is obviously a great matchup, pace-up spot. We know the Wizards, they play really fast. They're not the best defensive team. Dejounte Murray does have plenty of upside against this Wizards team. He put up 46 DK points against them earlier this season, for what that's worth. So I do have a lot of interest in Dejounte Murray from San Antonio. I think Jakob Poeltl for 6,100 is an okay play as well. If you're looking for a mid-range center option, you could definitely go to Jakob Poeltl, but I think that's probably it for San Antonio for me. Now on the Wizards side, this is a pretty easy team to break down, honestly. It's really Russell Westbrook, and that's probably it. Bradley Beal at 9,700 just feels a little bit too expensive. I don't think I'm going to pay that price tag for Beal on DK. Beal's a lot more affordable on Yahoo, so if you want to play him over there at $42, I'm fine with that. But Westbrook's clearly the guy that stands out from the Wizards. Now, he actually had a pretty bad game against Cleveland. Westbrook, he was going on a stretch where he was literally putting up 50 fantasy points every night at a minimum. Then he had a pretty bad game, 40 DK points, which is definitely one of the worst games we've seen from Westbrook in a while. I'm not really going to get too concerned about that. We know the upside that Russell Westbrook has. We know he's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet, gives you triple-double upside. At 10,900, anytime Westbrook's on the slate, he's going to project as a top stud option. And I think today he is definitely one of the better studs to pay up for if you are trying to spend up for any guy above 10K. So I do really like Westbrook. Daniel Gafford, I would have interest in. I wish Washington would start him. He's been clearly their best center. He's been playing, or he's been really productive when he's on the floor. It's just his minutes can fluctuate from game to game. Some games he'll play 25 minutes. Some games he'll only play 15 minutes. It's tough to tell, but if you want to take the shot on him, and hope he gets 25 minutes, he can absolutely crush at 3,900. We saw him go for 38 DK points against Cleveland on Sunday. So I think Gafford in tournaments makes some sense. He's not going to be a guy you really use in cash games until we know that he's going to start, because if he's not starting, the minutes are just going to be too hard to predict. But the upside is there, even coming off the bench, as long as he gets the minutes. But obviously Westbrook, I think, is the clear priority from the Wizards. That's probably it for me, though, from this Washington team. So moving on to the next game, Atlanta and Detroit. Now on the Atlanta side, I'm pretty sure Trae Young's going to be out again today. It looks like here he's going to miss at least 2 games, and that was on the 22nd. So we don't know if he's going to play here. His next chance to return, I guess, is today, but it doesn't seem like Trae Young's going to play. I'd be surprised if he does. So I'm assuming that Trae Young's going to be out again. With Trae Young out, we can look to guys like Bogdan, Kevin Huerter. Bogdan on DK, is pretty pricey. He's 7,800, but he did have a good game Sunday against Milwaukee. Played 37 minutes, had 45 DK points. He's been really good this year with Trae off the floor. His upside for DFS is just a lot higher. He has the ball in his hands more. He's just more productive. I like Bogdan a lot on Yahoo, though. I liked him a lot for Sunday slate. If Trae's out again, I think Bogdan at $25 on Yahoo is definitely a steal. He's probably my favorite play from Atlanta. Bogdan on Yahoo, that is. But Kevin Huerter, I don't really like his DK price. I'd be more likely to play him on Yahoo where he's affordable, only $18 there. I don't really like Clint Capella, though, at his price. I'm not a big fan of John Collins either. Do want to talk about Brandon Goodwin, though. So Brandon Goodwin, he did not start on He did not start on Sunday, but he did start the second half ahead of Solomon Hill. So I don't know if they're going to go with Solomon Hill in the starting lineup, given that Solomon Hill, given that Brandon Goodwin started the second half over Solomon Hill. Maybe that makes me, or maybe that's, an indication that they might start Brandon Goodwin today. I'm not going to play Brandon Goodwin unless he's starting, but just keep an eye on it. It wouldn't be surprising if they do change up the starting lineup, given that Goodwin did start the second half over Solomon Hill. But if he's not starting, I don't have any interest in Brandon Goodwin. So really, I think it's tough to pay these price tags on DK. Like Bogdan nearly 8K, Herter nearly 7K. But on Yahoo, I think they look a lot better. Herter $18, Bogdan $25. I like these Atlanta guys a lot more on Yahoo. But on the Detroit side, I really don't like any Pistons today. If I had to play anyone from Detroit, it probably would be like Jeremy Grant or Mason Plumlee. But this Detroit team, man, when they're fully healthy, I just hate playing these guys. They run such a deep rotation. They're going to split up the minutes so many different ways. We know Jeremy Grant's going to get his minutes, which I guess makes him the safest of all the Pistons. The matchup's not great, though. Atlanta has been playing better defense. They're not playing as fast. Mason Plumlee, his minutes are always a question. You never know how many minutes he's going to play, but he has gotten good minutes in back-to-back games. He played 32 against Dallas. He played 29 against the Pacers, and he was really productive in both those games. Had 44 and 55 DK points. Again, you never know what the minutes are going to be. Plumlee could play 30 minutes one night and then play 20 the next, but if he comes out and he plays really well, they'll definitely give him around 30 minutes. If Isaiah Stewart, though, is playing really well off the bench, they'll obviously give more minutes to Isaiah Stewart. This is a risky play just because, if Plumlee's not playing that great, he's not going to play a ton of minutes. But if he comes out and plays really well like he has the last two games, they'll give him 30 to 32 minutes. And if you do get 30 minutes from Plumlee, he's shown he has 40, 50-point upside. So you could take a shot on him in tournaments. He should be low-owned, I would assume. Jeremy Grant as well, I don't mind. But really, I don't like a ton from this Detroit team. I think we can go ahead and move on to the next game. We got the Lakers and the Magic here. This is a back-to-back for the Lakers, I do believe. I think they played on Sunday. Or no, they did not play Sunday. That was my mistake. But they played today. Anthony Davis, going to be back here. He did play 28 minutes in their last game Saturday against Dallas, which it's good to see, I guess. I don't know exactly how many minutes we're going to get from AD. He's not really rosterable yet. You can't play him in 9,400 until we actually see him play normal minutes, until we see him actually be, productive. Even in 28 minutes last game, he only had 24 DK points, which is terrible for AD. But I do want to mention him on Yahoo, so he is super affordable there. He's only $22. If you tell me we're going to get 30, 32 minutes from Anthony Davis, at $22, I'm very interested in Anthony Davis on Yahoo. I know he hasn't been good in his 2 games since his return. He's been kind of rusty. He hasn't really been that productive. But we know AD is a superstar. This is a guy that obviously is going to average, around 1.3, 1.4 fantasy points per minute. He's a high-usage player. I have some interest in him on Yahoo at $22. If we know he's going to play around 30 minutes again, I would have to assume that the minutes just continue to trend up for him. And given that he played 28 last game, he probably gets 30 today. On Yahoo, I think you can definitely roster Anthony Davis if he is going to play around 30 to 32 minutes. I do have interest in him there. Drummond, though, at 7,400, I'm not a big fan of. Schroeder at 7K, I think, a decent option. He's questionable, so keep an eye on this. But if he does play, you could definitely go to Dennis Schroeder at 7K. Just continue to play really well without LeBron. He's obviously going to have the ball in his hands a ton with LeBron off the floor. His usage is up as well. But overall, there really isn't much that stands out from the Lakers today outside of AD on Yahoo at $22. That's probably it for me. I don't see a ton I really like from this Lakers team, though. Schroeder, I think, is viable, too. But moving on to the Orlando side and talking about the Magic here. So Terrence Ross and James Ennis were both out on Sunday. This is a back-to-back for the Magic, so keep an eye on that. If they are both out again, we could look to a guy like Dwayne Bacon for value. Bacon did play 32 minutes in Sunday, or I thought he played. Hold up, that's the wrong box score. Let me see. Bacon played. He did play 32 minutes. Oh, did the Magic not play? Oh yeah, okay. So that's the right box score. I was tripping right there for a second. But Bacon did play 32 minutes Sunday against the Pacers. Had 33 fantasy points. He was really productive. He's had 2 good games with Terrence Ross out, and then he had that one really bad game against the Pelicans. But if we're going to get 30, 32 minutes from Dwayne Bacon, without Terrence Ross, I think he's definitely viable. He's not really a top value play on a big, 11-game slate. There's probably going to be a lot of good value that opens up as the day goes on. But I don't mind Dwayne Bacon if Ross and Ennis are out again. But Wendell Carter, I don't really like at his price. Cole Anthony, I don't really like at his price. overall, this Orlando team is not that appealing to me. This game in general, I don't have a ton of interest in outside of AD at his cheap Yahoo price and maybe Dwayne Bacon if Ross and Ennis are both out. But we can go ahead and move on to the next game and talk about OKC and Philadelphia. So on OKC today, we do know that Lou Dort is going to be out for the Thunder, so that's kind of important. Obviously, Lou Dort, with how SGA has been a pretty high-usage player for this Thunder team, getting him off the floor definitely benefits some guys, and it also, frees up some minutes because Lou Dort does play a good amount of minutes. Just starting off with who I think benefits without Dort, I think you will see a little bit more usage for Darius Bazley, but you should see either Kendrick Williams or Svi Mykhailiuk move into the starting lineup. If Kendrick Williams moves into the starting lineup, he is someone that I like a lot for 4,500. He is definitely a value play that I am considering on the slate. He's been really good on a point-per-minute basis when given the opportunity to play. He's had some really good games in the past when he has made spot starts. This matchup against Philadelphia is not the best, but 4,500 for Kendrick Williams. If he starts, I assume he plays around 30 to 32 minutes, which definitely makes him a pretty good value play, in my opinion. But keep an eye on the starting lineup. They could go with Svi Mykhailiuk. If Svi Mykhailiuk starts, you could definitely play him. He's 3,600, so I'm interested in either one of those guys, whichever one starts. Theo Maledon, I think, gets a bump without Lou Dort. Also, Bazley gets a bump as well, but Theo Maledon definitely gets a little bit of a boost. Should play around 30 to 32 minutes. 5,300, he's not that expensive. I don't mind him either from this Thunder team, but I think my priority here, my main interest from OKC is Kendrick Williams, assuming that he does start in place of Lou Dort. I'm assuming he'll start. I don't really know what they're going to do with the starting lineup, but I would guess it would be either Williams or Mykhailiuk that moves in there. But that's probably it for OKC. Moving on to the Philadelphia side. So Philly is a really tough team to break down right now. Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris are both questionable, and Ben Simmons has already been ruled out. So there's a chance that the Thunder could be without all three of their, the Sixers could be without all three of their stars. Embiid, Simmons, and Harris could all be out today. We don't really know. My best guess is that probably one of these two guys sits, given it's a winnable game here against OKC. I don't know if the Sixers play on Tuesday or not. I don't know if this is like a back-to-back, the front end of a back-to-back, but yeah, we got to keep an eye on this. This is obviously huge news. For now, I'm just going to assume that Embiid and Harris both play. With Ben Simmons already ruled out, that definitely benefits Embiid and it benefits Harris. So those guys do get a little bit of a bump for me. Embiid, I think, is one of the better spend-up options at 10,200 if he does wind up playing today. He's been really productive lately, especially with Ben Simmons off the floor. We've seen some massive games from Joel Embiid. Obviously, the blowout against Milwaukee really cost him, but I don't know if I thought that was a blowout, but either way, he's been really good lately. Like, he's played 33 to 35 minutes. We know we're going to get that from Embiid. He's been super productive, 60 plus DK points in 3 of his last 5 games, 57 in 4 of his last 5. So if Embiid plays, I think he is a really good pay-up option. He is definitely someone I'm going to be interested in. I think Tobias Harris looks appealing as well. Obviously, if Harris gets ruled out and Embiid plays, that's going to make me like Embiid even more. If Embiid gets ruled out and Harris plays, I like Harris a lot. If both these guys are out, then it just becomes, play all these guys. Shake Milton, I would love if both these guys are out. Dwight Howard would be a top value play if Embiid were to get ruled out. Seth Curry would definitely be someone you could look to. It's tough to break down this Philadelphia team right now until we get news on Embiid and Harris. Assuming they're in, though, they're probably the only two guys I'm going to consider from the Sixers. But obviously, if they get ruled out, we can look to guys like Milton, Howard, Curry, if Embiid and Harris are both out. But moving on to the next game, talking about Cleveland and Toronto. So in Cleveland today, Colin Sexton, we don't exactly know if he's going to be in or out. He was ruled out Sunday with a concussion. This is the second half of a back-to-back for Cleveland. We don't know if Sexton's going to play. If he's out again, we can look to the guys that really benefited with him out on Sunday. Darius Garland had a really good game without Sexton. Played 40 minutes, had 47 DK points. Even at 7,500, I think Garland would still be viable. I don't love him at this price tag in a tougher matchup against Toronto, but he would at least still be viable. He obviously has a lot of upside when you take Sexton off the floor. And then Cedi Osman, he did start in place of Sexton on Sunday. I assume he'll start again if Sexton's out. He played 37 minutes. He was really productive, had 31 DK points. At 3,800, he would be a top value play today if Sexton is out again. So definitely like those two guys. I think Jared Allen is also someone we can look to. Jared Allen, not really someone I've been rostering lately. He just hasn't been that good. But he finally showed signs of life Sunday against the Wizards. Maybe that was because Colin Sexton was out. Maybe that helped him. But either way, you got 34 minutes from Jared Allen. Had a huge game, 27 and 12 with 2 assists, 3 blocks, 2 steals, 55 DK points. We know this is someone that has a ton of upside. Obviously, he's a really good point per minute player. It's kind of weird to see how bad he's been lately, but it was good to see him play really well on Sunday. Maybe that can get him going at 7K. I think Jared Allen's definitely someone we can look to as a mid-range center option. I think he does get a little boost if Sexton gets ruled out again. So Garland, Allen, Osman, those are the three guys I'll be looking to from Cleveland if Colin Sexton's out. If Colin Sexton plays, then it's probably just Jared Allen for me and not really anything else from Cleveland. This is a back-to-back, so there's a good chance that maybe like Kevin Love rest. Just keep an eye on that. If he gets ruled out, that makes me like Jared Allen even more. We'll give a little boost to Larry Nance as well. But moving on to the Toronto side, talking about the Raptors here. Really don't like anything from Toronto today. Everyone on the Raptors just feels priced appropriately. Like this Raptors team, obviously they've been dealing with rest and stuff. They've rested guys this year. Well, they're fully healthy today, besides Chris Boucher, who's out. With Chris Boucher out, though, I don't think that changes really too much. Maybe gives more minutes to Kim Birch, but at $4,800, I don't really want to pay that price tag for Kim Birch. I think he's priced appropriately, if not a little bit too expensive. But I don't really like Siakam at his price that much. I don't like Van Vliet or Lowry that much at their price tags. If I had to play any Raptor today, it would probably be Kyle Lowry. But overall, this is not a team I really have much interest in. There's just so many other teams today that are shorthanded, that are missing guys. With this Toronto team fully healthy, with everyone priced appropriately, nobody really stands out to me. So moving on to the next game, Phoenix and New York. On the Phoenix side here, looking at the Suns, another team I don't have a ton of interest in. Tougher matchup here against the Knicks, pace down spot. We know the Knicks play really slow. They've been a great defensive team this year. Like Booker and Chris Paul are always viable in tournaments, but that's probably the only format I'm considering them in today. I'm not playing them in cash or anything. They would only be low-owned tournament options at best. Same with DeAndre Ayton. He did have a really good game Sunday against the Nets. That was obviously a really good matchup. This is definitely a tougher spot for Ayton. But at 6,600, if he does get like 30 to 32 minutes, Ayton has shown the upside to put up 40-plus DK points and be a good option at 6,600. So you could go there, but overall, there's no standout plays from Phoenix for me. Nothing that I really see from this team that I love. Now, on the Knicks side, it's kind of the same thing. Julius Randle, another guy you can always play in tournaments, but there's just other studs I'd rather get to today. I'd rather play Westbrook. I'd rather play, I'd rather play Embiid. I'd rather play Embiid and Westbrook over Julius Randle, I think. So not much from the Knicks I really like. Overall, this is not a team I have much interest in at all. With Alec Burks out, Derrick Rose should benefit. He did play 33 minutes in their last game against Toronto. He has played 30-plus minutes in 2 straight games. 3 of their last 4 games, he's played at least 30 minutes. I guess if you forced me to play a Knick today, it would be Derrick Rose, just because I think without Alec Burks, you're going to see 25 to 30 minutes from Derrick Rose off the bench. Should be productive. He's obviously been a pretty productive player on a point-per-minute basis when he does get minutes, but, the matchup's not great. It's it's just a slow-paced game, a low-total game. This is not one I really want to have much exposure to, so moving on to the next one, talking about Chicago and Miami. Looking at the Bulls here, we know Zach LaVine's going to remain out, so we can look to a guy like Kobe White. Even though Kobe White's price is starting to get up there, 6,500, he's been really good without LaVine. Ever since they moved him into the starting lineup, he's been super productive. He's played a good amount of minutes. He played 38 minutes last game against Miami, had his best game, one of his best games of the season, 47 DK points, 31 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. Even at 6,500, if you're telling me we're going to get mid to high 30s minutes from Kobe White, he should average around a fantasy point per minute with LaVine off the floor. He's obviously going to have the ball in his hands a ton as their primary point guard. I like Kobe White a lot. I think even at 6,500, he does stand out as a solid option here from the Chicago team, and I especially like him on Yahoo. He looks really good over there. Super, super cheap. Coming in at $20 on Yahoo, just think that's, he's way underpriced there. I have a lot more interest in Kobe White on Yahoo, but even on DK, I think he's still viable at 6,500. Vooch, I don't really like, though. I'd rather play Westbrook, rather play Embiid over a guy like Vooch. But all these other Chicago guys I don't have a ton of interest in. Like Daniel Tice, he's going to play around 25 minutes. He just, I don't think we really need to play him. He hasn't shown much upside at all. I think he definitely loses production playing alongside of Vooch. So really it's just Kobe White for me and nothing else from Chicago. I don't really want to play any of these secondary pieces. If I was going to play any Bulls, it'd be the top 2 guys with obviously Kobe White, being my favorite Bull today. But moving on to the Miami side, talking about the Heat here. So Miami's pretty much fully healthy. We know Oladipo is going to be out. Andre Iguodala is going to be out, but I don't think that really changes much. Tyler Hero and Kendrick Nunn, I believe, are both questionable. Yeah, so Nunn is questionable and Hero is also questionable. So do keep an eye on this. if they do both get ruled out, I think a guy like Goran Dragic at 5K would actually become a very good option. He would be a guy that I'd have a lot of interest in if Dragic and Hero are both, or if Nunn and Hero are both out. If they play, though, I don't really see much I like from Miami. Butler and Bam, I don't think I'm going to play on this slate. There's just too many other guys I think I'd rather spend up for. Like, I'd rather play Paul George over Butler. I think I'd rather pay up for Embiid over a guy like Bam. So really, it's just a wait and see on the status of Nunn and Hero. If Nunn and Hero are both out, I do like Goran Dragic a lot at 5K, but that's probably it from the Heat. So moving on to the next game, we got the Clippers and the Pelicans. Now, looking at the Clippers side here, as I said, Paul George, I'd rather play over Jimmy Butler. Paul George, definitely one of my favorite pay-up options today. 9,600 on DK, still pretty affordable in my opinion. Still a little bit too cheap, I would say. And on Yahoo, coming in at $43, I do like him a lot over there as well. Without Kawhi Leonard, this offense is going to run through Paul George. We've seen that be the case, in their last, I can't remember how many games Kawhi's missed, but basically, I think since this Portland game, we've seen 50-plus DK points in literally 8 straight games with at least, seven of his last 8 games with at least 50 DK points from Paul George. He's got, 3 or 4 of those games have been over 60. His upside's just through the roof when you take Kawhi off the floor. The matchup here is fantastic against the Pelicans. We know this Pelicans team plays fast. They don't play a ton of defense. Absolutely love Paul George today. I think he, even at 9,600, he still feels a little bit underpriced. This guy should be like 10K, 10,200 right now. He's just getting all the usage. The offense is running through Paul George with Kawhi off the floor. So I do really like PG, but outside of Paul George, I don't think I'm playing any other Clippers today. Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson, Zubac, they all feel priced appropriately. None of them really stand out to me. So I think it's just PG, and that's probably it from the Clippers. Now, looking at the Pelican side here, I don't see a ton that I really like from the Pelicans. You got Zion at 10,100. Again, I think I'd rather play Embiid. I'd rather play Paul George. I'd rather play Westbrook. Those are guys I'm definitely going to be looking to pay up for over a guy like Zion. Lonzo, I do want to talk about, 6,700. His price has come down a little bit. He did get back to his normal minutes last game against San Antonio. He did play 34 minutes, had 37 DK points. He had been on a minutes limit for those first few games. He had come back since returning from injury. But he did play 34 last game, and I assume we're going to get, normal 34, 36 minutes from Lonzo tonight in what should be a pretty fast-paced game. At 6,700, Lonzo is someone I really haven't played recently, but I actually do have some interest in him today. I think he's honestly my favorite play from this Pelicans team. Then, you could look to a guy like Zion. Brandon Ingram, though, I don't really like at his price tag. It's really just Lonzo and Zion for me, and that's probably it. I do want to mention that Steven Adams is questionable, so this is a pretty important injury to watch. If Steven Adams does get ruled out, I assume we'll see either Willie Hernangomez or Jackson Hayes move into the starting lineup. Whichever one were to start, whether it be Hernangomez or Hayes, would make for a really good value play. I don't think we'd get a ton of minutes from either one of those guys, but they would definitely play enough to where they'd be able to pay off their price points. So do keep an eye on the status of Steven Adams. That is pretty important news to monitor. He is currently questionable. But moving on to the next game, we got Utah and Minnesota. On Utah today, Donovan Mitchell we know is going to remain out. With him out, Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, Joe Ingles, they all benefit. They've all kind of been priced appropriately. None of them, outside of maybe Conley, I don't think really stand out. Conley, though, I think is the guy that really benefits without Donovan Mitchell, and we've kind of seen that. 42 DK points against Houston in 25 minutes. 30 minutes against Minnesota, had 38 DK points. He doesn't play a ton of minutes, which I guess is the one negative. They don't give Donovan Mitchell, or they don't consistently give Mike Conley 35, 36 minutes. But even in 32 minutes, he has plenty of upside with Mitchell off the floor. The ball's just going to be in his hands more. He's going to be the primary point guard. His usage gets a little bit of a boost. He's obviously shown more upside lately, shown more consistency, and has also shown a higher floor. Good matchup here against Minnesota. If I had to play anyone from Utah today, I think it would be Mike Conley. Don't mind Ingles either. Don't mind Joe Ingles, or don't mind Clarkson or Ingles either. But I think Conley's the guy I like most from Utah. I do want to mention that Bojan, he's been really affordable lately. $17. I think Bojan looks pretty good on Yahoo if you want to play him. Joe Ingles at $20. I don't mind either. I think both those guys make some sense as small forward options. But that probably does it for this Utah side. Now moving on to Minnesota here. Not much I really like from Minnesota today. Towns I don't really like in this matchup against the Jazz. Tougher spot. There's other studs I'd rather pay up for. Anthony Edwards, I'm not a big fan of at 7,400. I know he had a really big game when his team did just play. Had 51 DK points in 36 minutes, but I think there's other guys I'm going to rather I'm going to prefer today over someone like Anthony Edwards against the Jazz. Just doesn't feel like a spot where I really want to be going to Edwards. D'Angelo Russell, I think, would be the guy I'd look to from Minnesota. He did play 31 minutes last game. He's played 29 and 31 minutes their last 2 games. He's still been coming off the bench, which, is a little bit of a negative. I think at some point they're going to move him into the starting lineup. I don't exactly know when that's going to happen, but whenever they do decide to move D'Angelo Russell into the starting lineup, that's going to make me have a lot of interest in him because I assume his minutes will get a little bit of a boost in the starting lineup. He's also, a guy that, can be productive on the floor, so getting extra minutes is obviously super beneficial. At 6,400, if we get D'Angelo Russell starting and playing like 32, 34 minutes, he's a high usage player, a guy that it's going to average like 1.1, 1.2 fantasy points per minute, could easily give you 40 plus DK points in 32 minutes. So I actually like D'Angelo Russell quite a bit. If he starts, which I think is going to happen at some point, he's definitely my favorite play from this Minnesota team. But that does it for the Minnesota side. Moving on to the next game, we got 2 more to talk about. We got Memphis and Denver. On Memphis here, J-Val is back for the Grizzlies, so that basically takes away a guy like Xavier Tillman, who we've kind of been rostering recently. Jaren Jackson Jr., he got, I believe, 24 minutes last game against Portland, or 25 against Portland, so he should be close to full go here. Don't exactly know how many minutes he's going to play, but I would assume he's probably going to get like mid to high 20s minutes. This Memphis team is basically fully healthy. They have everyone healthy now. Ja Morant, he's been playing really well lately, but his prices now come up to 8,200. I don't think I'm going to go to Ja Morant today. I know he had a massive game against Denver when these teams played a couple, like a week ago, but that game, obviously, it went to double overtime. Morant, without J-Val, definitely benefited. Now that J-Val's back, now that Jaren Jackson Jr. is back, I think these guys are going to take, a little bit of usage away from Morant. I don't know if Morant's really someone I want to pay $8,200 for today. J-Val at $8K, again, another guy that I just don't know if I really want to pay that price tag for him. I'm expecting him to play like 32, 34 minutes. They're going to need his size against Jokic, but do I want to pay $8K for J-Val? Not really. Probably my favorite play from Memphis on Yahoo, it would be Jaren Jackson Jr., just because he is pretty affordable there. He's coming in at $17. Like I said, I don't know exactly how many minutes we're going to get from Triple J, but in the 2 games he's played, he's put up 36 and 34 fantasy points in both those games and has played 18 and 25 minutes. So my best guess is we probably get like 26, 28 minutes from Triple J. He's a very productive player when he's on the floor. He's a point per minute guy. At $17 on Yahoo, I actually do like Jaren Jackson Jr. quite a bit at this salary. Even with Nurkic, or even with J-Val playing, I think we're still going to get like mid-20s minutes from Jaren Jackson, which should make him a viable option at that Yahoo price. But that probably does it for the Memphis side. Now, looking at Denver here, we know that Will Barton going to be out for this game once again. So with Will Barton out again, I'm looking to a guy like PJ Dozier. PJ Dozier I did like a lot on Saturday's slate against Houston. Once we got word that Barton was going to be out, PJ Dozier was starting. I thought PJ Dozier became a really good value play, and he played really well. He had 45 DK points in 28 minutes. He should start again here in place of Will Barton and probably play around 30 minutes, if not a little bit more than that. He's been relatively productive when he does get the minutes. He's averaged around like 0.9 fantasy points per minute. So at 5,200, even with the price coming up, I still have a lot of interest in PJ Dozier today. Assuming he remains in the starting lineup. And on Yahoo, he's even more affordable there, coming in at $14. I definitely like him at that Yahoo price. I think PJ Dozier is probably my favorite play from this Memphis team, or from this Denver team. Jokic, you could obviously pay up for. Right now I think I'd give an edge to Westbrook. I think I'd give an edge to Embiid for a little bit cheaper as well, especially if like Tobias Harris gets ruled out. But Jokic, you can never go wrong with. This is someone you can basically always pay up for. Even at 11K, he has massive upside and can easily pay off this price tag. Even in a blowout last game against Houston, even when he only played 29 minutes, he still had 55 DK points. He gives you that triple-double upside, very similar to Russell Westbrook. Jokic can go out there and just put up a triple-double any night. So he's up there with Westbrook, with Embiid in terms of top pay-up options for me. MPJ's been really good lately, but 8,500, I don't think I can pay this price tag for Michael Porter. I know he's been good lately. I know he's coming off a game where he nearly scored 60 DK points, but I don't think I'm going to go to him at that price tag. Aaron Gordon is super cheap today. He's only 5,100, but man, he's just been so bad lately. Like you would think with no Will Barton, with no Jamal Murray, like Aaron Gordon should be able to produce, but he just hasn't been good on a, in terms of fantasy with this Denver team, he hasn't really been that good for fantasy. So even at 5,100, I don't really have that much interest in Aaron Gordon. I think for me, it's really just Jokic and PJ Dozier. That's probably it for this Denver team. Not a ton I really see outside of those two guys. So last game of the night, we got Dallas and Sacramento. This is one we're going to have to keep an eye on. Right now, Luka and Porzingis, I believe, are both questionable. Luka's questionable, and Porzingis is also questionable. So, I mean, this is just, hopefully we get an update here in the afternoon. If we don't have news on Dallas before lock, I mean, this is just going to be a crazy slate because this is the last game of the night, and if Luka and Porzingis somehow both get ruled out after lock, I mean, you're going to have to do a lot of late swapping. There's going to be a lot of guys that just become excellent plays from Dallas. Jalen Brunson, Tim Hardaway, whoever were to start at center for Porzingis. Right now, I'm just going to assume that Porzingis and Luka both play. If that's the case, I think Luka at 11-1 against Sacramento in a good matchup, definitely stands out as a good pay-up option. I'd give an edge to Jokic, Westbrook, and Embiid, but I would say Luka would be my fourth favorite stud behind those three guys. Matchup's really good. Obviously, Luka has a ton of upside here. Especially if we don't have news on him before lock. Like, if we don't get word that Luka's playing till late in the night, I mean, he should be super low owned. So, definitely someone you could play in tournaments. I assume we'll get some sort of update in the afternoon on these guys, but if Luka's in, I think he's a good tournament play. Probably not like my top stud, though. Porzingis at 9K, I'm probably not going to. And I'm really not considering any other Mavs today if both Porzingis and Luka are in. But like I said, if Porzingis and Luka get ruled out, then Josh Richardson, Tim Hardaway, Jalen Brunson, Maxi Kleber, all these guys just become excellent plays. Dallas would be super shorthanded. You would definitely want to load up on the Mavs if Luka and Porzingis are both out. That's obviously news we're just going to have to wait and see on, though. But moving up to the Sacramento side, talking about the Kings here real quick before we do end the video. So we know De'Aaron Fox is going to remain out. Tyrese Halliburton, I did like a lot. On Sunday's slate with De'Aaron Fox out, he had a really good game. His price tag went up a little bit, but I still think at $6,800 on DK, Tyrese Halliburton, someone I'm definitely going to be looking to play today, and especially on Yahoo. He is super affordable there still. The price tag didn't even move, only $19. Absolutely love Halliburton on Yahoo. He played 37.5 minutes on Sunday's game against the Warriors without De'Aaron Fox. He had 41 fantasy points, 24 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, and a steal. Basically what we expected from Halliburton. We know he's going to play a ton of minutes without Fox. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot more. He's going to be way more productive. He is way, way too cheap on Yahoo, and he's still affordable on DK. Still has the upside to pay off that DK price. So Halliburton's my favorite play from Sacramento. Everyone else, though, like Barnes, Hield, Holmes, I don't really like on DK, just where they're priced at. But if you go to Yahoo, a lot of these guys are way more affordable on Yahoo. Like DeLon Wright, he played 27 minutes off the bench, had 27 fantasy points. He's still only $11 on Yahoo, so I think he looks really good on Yahoo. Buddy Hield, I love on Yahoo, only $21. He played 36.5 minutes, had 38 fantasy points. He is still way underpriced in my opinion. He also gets a nice little bump with De'Aaron Fox off the floor, gets more usage, was really productive in Sunday's game, and should be really productive again without De'Aaron Fox. So I do really like Buddy Hield on Yahoo at that price tag, and Harrison Barnes even at $25 I think you can also look to. He played 40 minutes, had 34 fantasy points. All these guys benefit without Fox. On DK, I think all of them are priced appropriately outside of Halliburton. I think Halliburton's a little bit too cheap still. On Yahoo, though, you can play a lot of these guys. Halliburton's way too cheap. Hield's way too cheap. DeLon Wright is still, really cheap at $11. And I even think, Harrison Barnes is in play. And Harrison Barnes is someone I normally never look to, but I actually have some interest in him on Yahoo. But I think that does it for the Kings side today, guys. I think that does it for all 11 games on this slate. There was a lot to talk about tonight. It's going to be a crazy slate for sure. I expect it to be one of those days where we do get a lot of news throughout the day. Anytime we get these big slates late in the season, there's just always going to be late news. It's just how it is. The later you get in the season, the more late scratchers there are, the more just random news there is. So be prepared for this slate to change. As always, guys, I'll live stream in the afternoon. We'll have we'll be able to talk about the updates there. If any news comes out throughout the day, as always, we can touch on that in the live stream. I can always answer your questions in the live stream, so be sure to tune into that Monday afternoon around 4:30 Eastern Time. I'll be live on my YouTube channel breaking down this slate once again with you guys and answering all your questions. But yeah, guys, best of luck on this slate. I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you did enjoy. Good luck, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.